This may look like the Honda Super 4. This may sound like a Honda Super 4. And if you're riding it not too spiritedly, it also kind of does feel like a Honda Super 4. But it's not. It's actually the 500F from a relatively new manufacturer, ZXMoto. So in this episode of Beyond a Ride, let's find out if the bike can stand on its own or if it's just a Super 4 super clone. ZXMoto was established 2 years ago in 2024 in the motorcycle capital of China, Chongqing. And they quickly gained attention because instead of focusing purely on affordable commuter bikes, they went after performance. They took the motorsport world by storm a couple of months ago in the FIM World Supersport Championship in Portimao, Portugal. In only their second race weekend ever, they beat out established manufacturers such as Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Triumph, and Ducati. That is impressive. The 500F is powered by a 470cc inline 4-cylinder liquid-cooled dual overhead cam engine that puts out 74 horsepower at 11,000 RPM and 48 Nm of torque. The front brakes are dual 300mm discs with 4-piston calipers, while the rear brakes are single 220mm discs. The front suspension is upside-down forks with adjustable tension and compression, while the rear is a monoshock with preload adjustment. The front tire is 120 by 70, the rear tire is 180 by 55, both on 17s. So let's talk about the aesthetics first, right? I mean, look at the silhouette of the bike. It definitely is the Honda Super 4. I mean, especially the rear part of the bike does look like it with the grab handles and all of that. And then it also has that, that UJM from the late 70s and 80s styling, the round headlight, the dual horns right underneath it, the round gauges as well. I mean, I really like the bike. It looks like the Honda Super 4, and I'm a big fan of the Honda Super 4. So, in fact, if I were to own a Honda, it probably would be the Super 4. And, well, this popped up, so I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind with that one. But I like it. I really do like it. I mean, they nailed this. ZXMoto got the aesthetics absolutely right. Okay, so let's talk about the other goodies of the bike. I mean, it does have some riding modes, Eco and Sport. You also get traction control, which you can turn off. In fact, right there. So yeah, I mean, it's fairly simple, right? I mean, but it's the way I like it. I mean, I like the type of bike that it is. It's my preference. I think the new Super 4s now have the TFT screen, but I prefer the classic vibe to it. But it does have this little digital screen right here. That's of course for the fuel gauge and the gear indicator as well. So, a little bit of modern touches, but I still prefer the classic vibe when it comes to bikes such as this. Now, the curb weight is just about 170 kilograms, which is very light in my opinion. And the fuel tank capacity is 15 liters. And depending on how you ride, you can get up to or around 20 kilometers per liter. Now, you may think to yourself, 20 kilometers per liter for a bike, a middleweight category bike, that doesn't sound like much. When you think about it, an inline 4, 20 kilometers per liter or so, that's actually fairly good, in my opinion. Now, the seat height is a very Pinoy-friendly 795 millimeters, as we take a look at that. Yep, should not be a problem for most Filipinos out there. So, since we're here, let's do that sound test again because it does sound really, really good. Okay. Nice. Okay, so sitting in the saddle, well, it is pretty comfortable and the riding position is fairly standard. Now on the move, the 500F feels surprisingly compact and agile. the inline-4 engine loves to rev. And unlike torque-heavy singles, this motorcycle rewards riders that enjoy chasing the higher RPMs. And honestly, fairly different from most modern middleweight motorcycles. Naturally, there are still question marks because the manufacturer is still very new and so is the bike. So long-term reliability, parts availability, and resale value remain to be the biggest unknowns, especially here in the Philippines, where buyers care a lot about after-sale support. And let's be honest, many Pinoys will still naturally trust the Japanese Big Four. I mean, even today, they still have doubt about the other manufacturers. However, the bigger picture here is this. The ZXMoto 500F is not trying to be the most practical motorcycle in the segment. Instead, it's targeting riders who want a motorcycle that has, a little bit of madness, a little bit of personality. They want to connect with the rider's emotion, and this bike does that really, really well. In the world where many bikes are becoming increasingly safe and predictable, this bike feels refreshingly, I should say, irrational. I think that's the word I want to use here. It's kind of irrational, to be honest with you. And I'd say it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, you look at it, yes, it does look like the Super 4, but the Super 4 is really more of a chill bike. It's really more, something that's, just safe, I would say. As much as I like the Super 4, it's one of those bikes that it's a safe bike, right? You get what you kind of know what you're gonna get. This one, there's a little bit of hooligan in this. And it's a little bit more playful, which I actually really, really appreciate because it does not look like it's going to be a playful bike, but it really, really is. So if you're considering this bike, my guess is the Honda Super 4 is also an option. And I can't really think of another neo-retro that comes to mind with this displacement. The Triumph 400s, they're singles. ZXMoto does not have a neo-retro. Maybe if they ever made the Papio into a middleweight, that would be a good rival for this. But I only really see the Honda Super 4. Now, if you guys think of a bike that would directly rival this, let us know in the comment section below. ZXMoto has a whole lineup of bikes. They have they have the sport bike in this category. They have the 800s, the super sports. They also have a couple of adventure bikes, a couple of off-road bikes. But I think this is kind of like their outside of the sport bike. I think this bike is the one that's going to sell the most. It really does capture a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people really think, as I'm riding around here, they're looking at the bike thinking that it's a Honda. Even you look at the logo, it kind of, it's red, it's circular. It might be a Honda, but it's not. It's a ZXMoto, and it's they nailed this. I mean, the aesthetics, they got it right. It also feels really good. I have to say, it feels fantastic. And I think the size is also perfect for the Filipino rider, for the average Filipino, because it feels like I fit in this bike, it feels like a glove. It suits me almost to the T perfectly in terms of its size. And handling it around the city, extremely easy. Obviously, you're going to be using a little bit more gas because it is a 4-cylinder. Any inline 4 is going to be a little bit more of a gas guzzler than twins and singles. But it's a playful bike. I enjoy it. I really, really do enjoy this bike. So in conclusion, if you're looking for an expressway legal bike that's also easy to manage in the city with neo-retro looks to kill, and of course want that feeling only an inline 4 can give, well, the ZXMoto 500F starts at 370,000 Philippine pesos. And honestly, that might be a really, really good deal. For more information about this bike and other MCs out there, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. My name is Gino Rufino. Thanks for watching this episode of Beyond the Ride.